Hello friends and welcome to The Press. Matchday 10 promised to get messy as Lionel hoped to secure a round of 16 place just hours before his 38th birthday. Joining me for today's after party, journalist and broadcaster Julian Laron and football analyst Liaz Bouzidi, and making a welcome return, Niamh Patriziello. Here's what we have for you. PSG know a win gets them through, but Luis Enrique's rotating again. Is it genius? We break down the tweets as Seattle look to spoil the party. It's make or break for Simeone. Can Atleti become top dogs? Get it, Snoop Dogg, in Group B and shove Botafogo out of the driver's seat. Porto need a win and a little help from the football gods. It's all or nothing against Egypt's Al Ahly. And the master and the apprentice, Lionel Messi and Esteval, into Miami against Palmeiras for top spot in Group A at the Hard Rock Stadium. A day of chaos, and there's been plenty of activity on social media today. And remember, you can get involved too. Let us know your comments using the hashtag #ThePressCWC. And speaking of this, it's sort of we're on the third day of this story. And Liaz, we've always said we're all Mamelodi Sundowns, and it has happened. Liaz has got the follow from the gaffer. Miguel Cardosa has been... Apparently he was following you all along.
There's a mild misunderstanding, but you know what? We got there in the end. Mamelodi Sundown, I've arrived. You got a new supporter. Let's go.
Absolutely. Amazing stuff there. And yeah, we are buzzing for their game on Thursday. We're all in contact with the gaffer, wishing him well. Team of the Week came out after the second round of games. And there's so many stars in there, but we've watched every single game, Jules. I wondered how you felt about this in terms of, is there anyone that you feel like's missed out here, should have made it on?
I mean, where's my Michael Olise? I see a Harry Kane there. I wonder what Harry Kane is having. No offence to England and Harry Kane, but surely Olise deserves to be in this.
I agree.
OK. Anyone else you thought missed out?
There's a few, but I like the Olise shout. I would go Olise as well.
There's a few more Botafogo players. Igor Jesus maybe missing out as well, a bit brutal. OK, let's remind ourselves what the table in Group B looked like before going into the games. So, it was all about Atletico Madrid, really, who had to win and win big if PSG won against Seattle Sounders. A draw for Atleti would only see them through if PSG lost. So now that's cleared up. Luis Enrique made 4 changes to his previous starting lineup for the PSG match against Seattle Sounders, with PSG still trying to figure out their best 11 with Ousmane Dembélé absent.
The final round of group matches gets underway here. Seattle Sounders and Paris Saint-Germain. And the finale of Group B is the spotlight here. Mendes there with the ball in. It's just about touched away. And then it's fired in! Paris Saint-Germain have the lead. Randy Barkham. Barkham with the pass. Hakimi! It's 2-0! So clinical, so ruthless. Well, there's the full-time whistle in Seattle. Paris Saint-Germain advance to the last 16, and they may well take some stopping.
So, PSG versus Seattle Sounders meant more rotation for PSG, but Seny Mayulu kept his place in the team, but not in the position that he played in the last game. There were actually 10 of the 11 from that Champions League final. It all looks very, very familiar, but as we say, Mayulu kept his place, but in a brand new position. Talk to us about Mayulu. It'll be a name that a lot of people won't be totally aware of. What's he about?
Yes, he's a young player from the academy, Paris born and bred, 19 years old, very young. His younger brother is also in the academy, apparently even better than Seny himself, so we'll have to wait and see. And he's a player that Luis Enrique really loves. He loves the versatility, he loves the technical ability, he loves the fact that he can adapt him and mold him into different positions, which is great. And as we saw tonight, even in that fourth number 9 position, which is a very difficult position to play.
Yeah, because I mean, the games that we've seen him come on, he's come on for Ruiz in a more central position. So were you surprised to see him up top? Yeah,
very surprised. We knew that Ousmane Dembélé would only come back for the last 16 games after the injury he picked up with the national team. So we had Gonzalo Ramos, who is a very traditional number 9, playing there before, and Luis Enrique was clearly not super happy with him. So he thought, I need to try something else. And he tried Mayulu today. And again, at 19, when you're just beginning your professional career, it's not easy to play in that position as a false number 9 within this team because a lot is asked of you, really.
Yeah, so talk us through some of his moments in the game. 72% possession for PSG, so comfortable, so you would imagine he would have got involved a lot, but it was hard. It was hard for him.
Yeah, it's hard. And this is exactly what I think Luis Enrique wanted him to do, to drop in those positions between the line, try to find those passes through to Hakimi or Nuno Mendes, which Ousmane Dembélé does very well when he plays that position. There, the counter-pressing works really well, and then he finds Kvaratskhelia in the box. That was good. There again, he drops, play one touch, spin, find that space in the half left space, but the cross was not good enough. This is probably his best moment. 1-2 with Desiré Doué, great little ball for him. That ended up on a shot. And what he did very well as well through the whole game was that pressing, constant pressing, running after the ball, chasing the ball, which is also what Luis Enrique was asked of him, but there was just not enough of that. And again, it's normal. It was his first ever outing in that position.
I think one thing we've kind of noticed in those earlier games is a slightly slower tempo to those games. With PSG, overall, after these first 3 games, Liz, how do you feel about them? They're not totally firing, are they? It was a comfortable one, but Seattle kind of came and pressed and had a bit of a go. Yeah, they don't totally look like their normal selves.
I mean, the first game they won 4-0, and I think we were all absolutely purring about them. The second game was a bit of a punch in the face, but I think without Dembélé as well, too, he's so important to everything they do. And I think Mayulu did a decent impersonation of it, but when you're looking at a guy that was potentially the best player in the world, replacing him is not an easy feat. And I think PSG going forward around a 16 will look a lot better.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Remember the name Mayulu, because I think for him to step in instead of Ramos, I think it's because of that fluidity that he provides, whereas Ramos is just your normal central striker. One shot, didn't win a single ground duel, lost the ball 13 times, but we will see a lot more of Mayulu. We were talking about this PSG squad and how good it was. And we got into a bit of an argument in the green room. So we thought we'd have it here. I've set up a keep or sell for PSG here. And we're going to give 3 options. Make sure you let us know your answers using the hashtag #ThePressCWC. Let's get straight into it. Niamh, the first one, you've got to keep or you've got to sell Mendes or Hakimi. We're starting the left-back position. All 3 of these are disgusting. But Niamh, who are you going for when it comes to Mendes or Hakimi?
Their connection and ability to balance each other out, it's hard to pick who's the more important one. I'm going to say keep Mendes.
Keep Mendes. OK. I'm Team Hakimi here. I think he is a game breaker for them. Leos, you think differently?
It's tough. Both of them are incredible. You could make the argument right now they're the best 2 in the world, but when I look at Nuno Mendes, I think he's the most complete fullback in the world. Defensively as well, too. Maybe that's where I give the edge over Achraf Hakimi. I've seen him lock up the best wingers in the world.
Team Hakimi with you.
Yeah, you're coming with me, Jules. Sorry.
Team Hakimi.
OK, next up, this is really hard. This is what really, really kicked it all off. Vitinha or Neves in that midfield. 2, different players, but we've got a disagreement on this one. Niamh, I'll come to you again. Vitinha versus Neves, you've got to get rid of one and you can keep one. Which one of these 2 are you keeping?
Do you know, I think it's so hard. I think I'm going to base it on, I think that off the ball, Neves helps PSG control the games. On the ball, Vitinha. But I think Neves is closer to Vitinha on the ball than Vitinha is to Neves off the ball. So I'm going to go for Neves as the more useful, because he's everywhere.
How? No, OK, Leos, come on, help me here. I think it's Vitinha. It has to be Vitinha. Vitinha is one of the most sensational players in the world right now. He absolutely dictates every single game that he plays. And in terms of going and winning the balls, I get it. They're all world class. That's why we're having this chat.
Yeah.
But Vitinha runs the game for the best team in the world right now.
We were describing it earlier, right? If I have to make a comparison, it's like those old Milan teams, and you're almost comparing Pirlo and Gattuso. Who's more important to that Milan team? Well, in my opinion, I think Pirlo is the heart and soul of that team. He makes it tick similar to Vitinha. João Neves is amazing, though. And I think if you're talking about who the better player is with more to his game, it might be Neves, but for PSG, Vitinha is the blueprint.
OK, just quickly.
Neves, I think every team needs a Neves, whereas for Vitinha, not every team needs a Vitinha.
OK, last one. Desiré Doué or Kvaratskhelia? Very, very difficult. Jules, I'll come to you first on this one. Who are you going for?
I mean, I can only go with my boy Desiré Doué. Anyway, I like Kvaratskhelia, but Desiré Doué is just the elegance and the sweet feet and the quick feet.
This time we agree, huh?
I think we're getting carried away and excited by what Doué is going to become. But right now, I think Kvaratskhelia is just a monster.
I'm with you. I'd go for Kvara as well. That's why I went for Hakimi as well. Let's respect the experience a little bit more, if we can, please. OK. The question heading into Atletico Madrid versus Botafogo was, could Atletico beat the Fogao by a 3-goal swing to qualify for the last 16.
Decision day in Group B, where the equation is a simple one. Atletico Madrid need to beat Brazilian's Botafogo by 3. Paul Alvarez, big chance. Cuiabano, Igor Jesus, great save, all black. What a stop. Alvarez chasing scraps now really here. Alvarez, and there is Griezmann, and there is hope. And the full-time whistle, Botafogo are into the knockouts. And the first big name to fall is Atletico Madrid.
Okay. Group 2 is now complete. Group 2, what nonsense. Group B, sorry. Paris Saint-Germain win the group at the end of it all. Botafogo get through due to, I think, is it goal difference? Yeah, it is goal difference. And Atletico Madrid miss out. It could have been so different. Of course, both Botafogo and Atletico Madrid have the same points, but it then goes to head-to-head, but all PSG, Botafogo and Atletico Madrid have the same head-to-head win, and then it goes to goal difference, and that is why Atletico Madrid miss out. Okay, so with no Griezmann, the chance creation reins were surprisingly taken by Rodrigo de Paul. Let's have a look at the tactics board here, because when it comes to the setup here, you've got a Botafogo side who have been very, very impressive defensively, and we're going to touch on that with some of the chances. Neve and Leah's going to talk through that. But you've got the setup here, and if we move it on one, what you can see is how the two teams kind of set up. A couple of people that are really important here. One, Galán, high and wide throughout the game. But because of the amount of bodies that Botafogo wanted to have back, because really it was about Atletico Madrid scoring 3 to get through, Atletico had to kind of go around the side. Now, the other person that's really interesting here is De Paul. Now, without Griezmann, someone else had to carry that creative burden, and De Paul was the one to step up. He had 82 touches in 65 minutes. Normally, in a whole 90 minutes, he averages around 57 touches in a game. And he was really, really creative for the team as they looked to kind of go around the sides and then serve Sorloth up top, who started for them. And we can have a little look at some of the clips of Rodrigo de Paul now. And he was really, really interesting. Now, when I think Rodrigo de Paul, I do not think of him. I think of this. I think of him, you know, sniffing out danger, using his physicality, getting on the ball. But I don't expect him to be having this many touches. It was a different side to him, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. You look at him for Argentina, for Atletico Madrid, he almost seems like a bodyguard at times, winning the ball back, being the enforcer. But it's kind of a throwback to his days at Udinese, where he was really a creative player. He was the source of creativity for that side. And I think under Simeone, he's obviously transitioned to a different player. But today was a real blast in the past, man. Really impressive performance.
And in particular, what you saw from him a lot, although in the average position we just showed you he's far more central, you see him always peeling out to this right-hand side, getting to kind of work down the right side to allow Galán to stay high on the left-hand side. And there were a lot of crosses. There were 39 crosses from Atletico Madrid in this game, and they were knocking at the door throughout, kind of going through the air a little bit more, but they couldn't get it done. They couldn't score the goals. They should have scored the goals. They had so many chances today. What do you think went wrong, Neve, when it came to that amount of chances and them not being able to score the goals they needed?
Yeah, I think they just got a little bit desperate with some of their shots. I think there's 18 players in the box in that current moment there. Botafogo were happy to have their midfielders sort of track those extra runs, the little bits of space. They did that very comfortably. And so I think Atletico Madrid found themselves having quite a few shots that if you were to look back on them and predict if you'd score them, they would probably say no.
Okay. And Leah's here. We're seeing some of these chances from the first half. Yeah. Went a bit more aerially. They went to Sorloth. It felt like Simeone made a change in the second half and tried to keep the ball down a touch more. But it was all about those crosses, wasn't it?
I mean, the change was Antoine Griezmann for Conor Gallagher, and it made sense at the time because in a game where you're absolutely dominating, maybe Gallagher's skill set isn't as useful. And I think Griezmann did add a little bit, got himself into some dangerous positions on either side, to be honest. But the game plan still seemed to be just get the ball to the big man in the middle. And Sorloth had some huge chances. He had huge chances all tournament, and this has really been the story of his game. Big chances, can't even find the target. I don't think there's been a player who's accumulated more XG without scoring a goal this entire tournament.
And sure, and you know, every single clip we're showing you here, look how many bodies, Botafogo bodies are in the box there. And that's where you can kind of, you'll get that little bit of luck at times. And actually, the goal at the end of it was one where, you know, finally Atletico Madrid got their luck. On the fact that Atletico have not made it through and Botafogo have gone through, I feel like in this tournament we've kind of become a little bit desensitised from a European point of view. I think there was a bit of snobbery when it came to those big European sides. Botafogo getting through. How big of a shock do you feel that is now?
I think it's a huge failure for Simeone, for this Atletico Madrid side that has a top squad. And I know Botafogo, we've said it, like all the South American teams are midway through the season. So fitness-wise, it's a huge advantage. They're used to the heat, which maybe in Europe we're not so much. And certainly this is pre-season for a team like Atletico. There's no excuses. They should have qualified. They didn't. It's a big failure.
And let's be honest, there's a lot of money to be made here as well. Like every victory is, there's about 2 million up for grabs. So disappointing for Atletico in terms of not getting through. OK, let's turn our attentions then to Group A now. This is what the table looked like before the game. So, if either Palmeiras or Inter Miami won their game between the two of them, they were through. A draw saw both through as well. The only way Porto can go through is if Palmeiras lose and there is a swing of 3 goals between the two fixtures. And finally, Al Ahly, to progress, they needed to beat Porto, hope Inter Miami lost, and with a goal difference swing of at least 3. It was simple, but the games weren't. Utter chaos. Wonder kid Rodrigo Moura had come close in his first few games. Would this be the game in which he finally announced himself on the world stage? OK, I mean, where do we begin with this, guys? Anyone want to go first? We've got a hat-trick from Abu Ali in this game. It finished 4-4. Jules, you were watching this one.
Yeah, incredible. Abu Ali, you said, first hat-trick of the competition. Perfect hat-trick as well. Right foot, left foot and header. We saw Rodrigo Moura that you mentioned with a lovely finish at 18, showing himself. This is the penalty, Fabio Vieira, quite clumsy in the box. Abu Ali, the Palestine international, 26 years old, scoring it to make it 2-1 for his team. It would be, they were playing catch. They were playing catch. Is that what you mean? Like, so when every time that Al Ahly was in the lead, catch up. That's it. Catch up. Then Porto would come back. We'd have 2-2 there. Then the third goal, wonderful header by Abu Ali that we mentioned earlier.
Perfect hat-trick, by the way.
Perfect hat-trick,
right foot, left foot header.
Exactly. 11 goals in his last
tournament as well.
9 games.
Samu, who had mixed affairs. Liège has been gassing him up all tournament, and he did well, but then he kind of missed a chance.
We'll focus on the goal, man. Let's focus on the positives.
Yes, that's it. GA, it's all about GA.
Yeah.
From there on, it was so open. It was like a basketball match.
I'd never seen anything like it. Let me just go through some of the stats for this as well. Only another stunning goal from Pepe. That's in the 89th minute. Utter chaos, as is being shown on the socials here. You can see it, and that's why it's moving so fast, because everyone needs to be talking about this game. Incredible stuff. 40 shots in that game, 11 big chances, 8 of those were missed, and only 18 of those 40 shots were on target. Absolutely amazing stuff. We spoke about Rodrigo Moura before we looked at the goals there, all 8 of them. And he did impress. You know, it has been one of those tournaments where we're talking about the Wonder Kids a lot. We're about to talk about Esteval. But Rodrigo Moura had some lovely little moments here. Obviously, he's a diminutive fellow, and he is one where he does wriggle free from players. And this is a fantastic goal for him to score. I've really, really been impressed when he has been able to get on the ball. And the good players do wriggle out of these. And that composure at the age of 18, and he's only just turned 18 as well. I think of all the youngsters in the tournament so far, it feels like he's been one of the best. He's got a huge, huge future ahead of him. Liège, again, getting so much promise, it's ridiculous. Rodrigo Moura reminds me of Atletico Aguero, a goal Kun would be proud of. But it did finish 4-4, and it was a disappointing result for them. And Porto obviously going out as well. That's a big, big problem, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we've seen a number of European teams sort of just be almost... I wonder actually if it's sort of similar to like with international tournaments as well, though, where your preparation and knowledge is not exactly up to scratch, and you're hit with surprises in the moment that you've got to adapt to.
Yeah, and Al Ahly, we've got to talk about Al Ahly. We touched about them after the second game, and we were saying that, you know, people will kind of be dismissive maybe of Al Ahly, but they've created chance after chance, and we get more and more frustrated with them not being able to take those chances. The fact that they didn't win this game was a bit of a disgrace, but I've got to be honest, it's true. But Abu Ali was superb, wasn't he, Jules?
Yeah, incredible. We said a perfect hat-trick. This was his first goal. The movement, the way he timed his run to be onside is perfect. A penalty, great strikers score penalties. And then the wonderful header there to make it a hat-trick. The first hat-trick, perfect hat-trick in this competition. He moved to Al Ahly only last year. He spent all his career in Scandinavia, and at 26, I think there's a great potential there to become even better because he's got everything. He's tall, he holds up the ball well, he's good with his feet, right foot, left foot header, as we saw on the hat-trick. He's a really, really great talent.
They will be devastated that they've won that game, won't they?
I'm devastated they won that game. Honestly, the amount of chances that they had towards the last 10 minutes of the game, in the same position on that left-hand side of the pitch, one-on-one against the keeper countless times. And you look at the prize money available for teams like this, that kind of money can change seasons, can change leagues, and I think the manager will be massively upset. They've obviously put on a great show tonight, and they've made themselves proud, but they have to win that game.
OK. Lionel Messi's Inter Miami faced off against Palmeiras on the eve of his 38th birthday, but would it be a memorable one?
Well, welcome to Miami, and more importantly, the Hard Rock Stadium for the last part of Group A here, as Inter Miami will host Palmeiras to determine who will be going through to the round of 16. Look at the space! Look at the time! Allende! Oh! Tadeo Allende will give Inter Miami the perfect start. Luis Suarez. It's past 1 or 2. Luis Suarez still for Inter Miami! It's more mayhem in Miami! Chance for Paulinho! That one lofted it into Lopez. Falcone! Oh, wow! A goal that changes everything! At the Hard Rock Stadium, it's Inter Miami 2, Palmeiras 2.
OK, so Group A. Palmeiras top the group. Inter Miami are through. We get one more game of Messi. I think most people are happy about that. FC Porto finished joint third or joint fourth, whichever you want to look at it, with Al Ahly. So kind of as you were from the start of the day. And it was, again, another really, really good game, wasn't it? It's one where Palmeiras got themselves back into it, but the starting point was a bit disappointing. And a lot of people were talking online about this because, of course, Esteval and Messi were the two main talking points when it came to this one. And you can see the two teams here. And what we wanted to show you was something that initially you might think is not too big of a deal. If you think of the 4-4-2 that you see with Inter Miami, and we spoke about it on the press in that win against Porto, we saw that they were a lot more compact defensively. And that 4-4-2 that you see was what you saw when they didn't have the ball. Very, very conservative from that point of view. But what we wanted to touch on was when they did have the ball. Busquets having lots of touches, especially once they kind of snuck into the lead. And when we're talking about Messi and we're talking about Esteval, this was getting a lot of attention. Esteval having to defend really, really deep. And a lot of people talking online saying he should have been a lot higher. And Niamh, you agree. Why do you think that he shouldn't be back there?
I think they were giving him the ball quite early, and he was finding himself in positions where it was a constant magnet for the opposition. They were constantly putting two players on him, but it didn't really benefit them because he had so much space still that he had to either run into or perhaps a pass. And I found that Palmeiras could be quite slow breaking out, and so maybe there wasn't even an option for him to find someone else. And actually in the second half, when things changed, you saw a way to make the most of him that you didn't see in the first half.
So here you can see him making that run, can't you?
Look how deep he's
It's that starting point for him, isn't it? You know, if it's a game where you want to kind of be the aggressor here a lot of the time, and this is an Inter Miami side that generally, you know, is pretty slow in transition. So if you've got someone like Esteval up there, you want him up there. You don't want him deep. Is that right, Niamh?
Because he was often doing the first action really well. Like he would perhaps maybe beat a man to begin with, or he'd sort of cut inside nicely. But then if he still had quite a bit more to do, I suppose you could also say on his behalf, maybe he didn't release the ball in times that he could have released it. He held on to it for a bit too long, and that could have been maybe something. If he's higher up, he's going to release it a little bit quicker. But you saw when he has just those actions, the little passes, taking it past one man, there's not anybody else on that team that can do it as well as him. So you want him to be in an area where he's most threatening on the pitch for sure.
Yeah.
And there was often times where he was making some brilliant runs in between the opposition centre-back and left-back, and he just wasn't found. But then I found that in that second half when Alan came on and pushed up high and wide the right-back, he would cut sort of inside of his runs, and it opened up space on the right-hand side for other players to walk into as well. So there's definitely lots of ways you can make the most of having him, and I don't think in the first half they did, but in the second half I think they started to.
Yeah, I do get... I think you're with me on this, Jules. It does feel like he's trying just maybe a touch too hard, and therefore the final ball, the final output's not been there. You could definitely see something, but yeah, I think the hype has maybe getting to him a touch. Two players that have been there and done it, linked for the second goal for Inter Miami. We spoke about Suarez and maybe the fact that he was maybe struggling a little bit physically, not being able to get to the ball, but he got to the ball here and he did the business, didn't he, Liz?
Of course, man. I mean, look, Luis Suarez, it's been an interesting tournament, if I'm going to be kind, but you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. And this right here is vintage Luis Suarez. Now, some people will look at the little touches off the defenders, and maybe the goalkeeper gets a hand on that as well, too. But Rio Ferdinand speaks about Luis Suarez, and he says he's one of those players that he almost seems to just run into you when he dribbles, but it's just sheer power that gets him past it. I've seen this goal from Suarez at least 10 times in his career. Look, he's not as fast as he used to be. He might not be as sharp as he used to be.
What do you think about this? Is that on purpose, that little bounce
Look,
down?
it might not be on purpose, but again, it just
Jules,
happens for him so many times that at some point you have to say, it's not luck when it's him. Maybe a different player you can say that.
Yeah, it's just that he got lucky that the defender still touched the ball and that he went his way. But you're right, you provoke that kind of luck, that the ball still fell onto your path then to shoot. But even the keeper touches the ball, so he got a bit lucky on that one.
We've seen that goal, haven't we? We've seen that goal so many times. And it's nice for him to get one. There's been a lot of pressure on him. Messi did sort of step up. He was kind of being press-proof in that moment and was able to play that pass to Suarez, and then Suarez did the business, as I said. But Messi was not happy at the end of the game, going off in what's technically known as a huff. Here he is walking off.
He's mumbling even.
Mumbling away. You don't normally see this with...
You never know. It's his birthday tomorrow. Maybe he's just trying to get to the celebrations early.
Yeah, someone's eating his cake.
Yeah, he thought he was going to... He wanted cake at full time, didn't he?
You know what? I kind of understand it, right? Like, I mean, like, they put so much energy into getting into that lead, and to throw it away the way they did, and now going from a game against Botafogo to now playing against Paris Saint-Germain, for him, he must be thinking, like, we put all this work for what?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about... So, as the bracket forms, this is the first couple of fixtures that we've got here. PSG versus Inter Miami and Palmeiras versus Botafogo. Let's start with PSG versus Inter Miami. Niamh, can Messi do it with this one? Is there any chance here? This would be... How big of a shock would it be if Inter Miami were able to get it done?
It would. I think the problem he's got is a lot of the areas that he likes to pick up the ball quite a lot deeper. You look at that PSG midfield, it's just... They're just runners, aren't they? And they've just got that... They may be able to eat him up.
To the point of Neves, he should have a field day, should he not?
Yeah, and I think that the midfield battle would be very interesting. And it's Messi against his former club, and it was written somewhere that they would meet again at some point after the 2 years he spent there. He was not happy there. Nothing really worked out for him and for the team while he was there. So it's very interesting that they meet again when PSG has moved away from the bling-bling signing and the Messi type of signing to find success. When he was there, the success never came.
And Palmeiras against Botafogo, two Brazilian teams up against each other. The South American teams have been so impressive in this tournament. How do you see this one playing out?
It's the reigning champions in Brazil versus the record holders in terms of most wins ever in the championship. I actually think I give the edge to Botafogo. I mean, Palmeiras maybe have more of the recognizable names, but I've really been impressed with Botafogo's defensive shape. And Igor Jesus, one chance, bang.
Yeah, I think you're right. Botafogo, they're so hard to break down. They've got that victory against PSG. They're in the ascendancy. I think you might be right. Let's have a look at the socials then before we go. As you can see, lots of people chatting away. It's all kicking off now. You've got to love the final round of games. Let's have a look at some of the tweets that you've been putting out there. We've got Messi to face PSG. Only football can write these types of stories.
If Messi beats PSG, though, I want to see Jules in an Inter Miami shirt next show. He does.
That'd be sick, I think.
We're into the best 16 teams in the world. I think all of MLS has to be proud of Inter Miami, said Javier Mascherano in the DAZN flash interview. He said it was a historic win for MLS. And last up, jersey swap, Luis Suarez and Esteval. You obviously can watch all the games on FIFA, and more importantly, equally importantly, the DAZN app. Oh, don't want to get in trouble.
That's too short for Esteban because he swapped with Messi at half-time as well.
Really
so
good.
He got Messi shirt and Suarez shirt. He could get Leah's shirt, but First, yes, have to go to the bank for
Okay.
and after, maybe you can send it to Estevao.
Don't let me catch you in that Inter Miami shirt, huh?
Okay, it's not over. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. This is what's coming up later today. Group C and D come head-to-head. We've got Auckland City versus Boca Juniors at 8 p.m. And then Benfica versus Bayern, of course, at the same time. And then we've got LAFC versus Flamengo at 2 a.m. on Tuesday. And Esperance versus Chelsea at 2 a.m. as well. And, of course, crucially, the press at 4:30 tomorrow. So, thank you very much to the guys and girls. We'll see them tomorrow. That is all from the press today. We'll see you again tomorrow here on the DAZN app.